There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, from here in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's very nice outside. It's very nice. And we have my good friend Mark J. Victor in studio, and we're talking about a lot of things. And, you know, the one thing I did want to, I got off track, and I wanted to mention one of the things that we're putting in our TSA bag, is that if you want to be safer, you want to do away with all of this need to be, you know, body searched and scanned and everything, just stop killing people. Stop having wars. Stop socially and economically engineering the planet. You know, quit pissing people off. And this that's never brought up. And whenever it is brought up, Dr. Paul was on CNN yesterday with, you know, former Bush, what's her babe, you know, going on about how we're all threatened and everything. And he goes, well, why do they want to? They want to kill us. And he goes, why do they want to kill us? I don't care why they want to kill us. You know, they just want to kill us. And he goes, that's the problem. You don't care why. You're just going to let them kill us. You know, and you're going to pretend that you're taking care of us. And I tell you, you know, Mark, I mean, you're Marine. Mark J. Victor, Marine. You know, if you are motivated and you need to get men, you're going to get some on something. Is there something they're going to do to stop you?
No. I mean, look, first of all, everything the TSA is doing, if you took all of it, none of it would have had anything to do with 9/11. I mean, am I right or am I wrong?
I don't know. Box cutters, maybe they would have got a blade through or something. I mean, certainly I don't know what they're doing now that would have saved us for 9/11.
Nothing. No. Look, you could. I don't want to get into it, but there's lots of things people who are trained can do if they want to, take over a plane with box cutters and things like that. I mean, there's lots of things people can do to cause all kinds of havoc. If you sat down and thought of ways.
Yeah, we're just opting out, man. We're just giving them blue gloves, and we're going to shut down.
They're not going to put on your blue gloves. I'd be very surprised. The TSA is probably going to say, keep your gloves. We're going to keep our gloves, and we're going to keep doing it exactly the way we've been trained to do it. Period. That's what's going to happen.
Period. I know. But hopefully we can because there's a lot of things that we can do. You know, there's a lot of things that we can express.
Avoid the airport, right?
Right. No, that's one thing. That's one thing. And we do a lot more than we would. Anything. Phoenix is kind of isolated, but you know, California's close enough. It's a 7-8 hour drive to LA or something like that. But gosh darn it, we drive it a lot because it's not worth it, you know. I get to keep my own car. I don't have to go through all the, indignity of the crap and the delays and the problem and the baggage and heck, you just if it's within a day's driving distance, man, I'm driving. Even Denver. I mean, we're just Albuquerque. We're just done. We're just driving. So that's kind of the impact it's going to have on the economics of the whole thing. I bet you the airline industry and the resorts and the theme parks and all that, that's where they're going to start having some pushback. Yeah. They're going to be going, hey, man, we want to have... Are you looking forward to getting your first TSA case? There's going to be somebody's going, have a problem?
Well, I already have some. I haven't taken them yet, but I've already received some inquiries from some people who are upset about searches and how they were groped and this and that, and so I'm considering just trying to take one or two of those to see where it goes.
I got a call this morning from a guy named DT. He's one of the camera fraud activists, and he called me. He said, Ernie, I just want to let you know what happened. This morning he goes through, and they pulled him over for pat down. He didn't want to do the scanner. They didn't even have the scanner, whatever. Anyway, they're going to pat him down. So they go through the process, and the big problem that he had was he was just trying to get through the line, and they wanted more ID from him or something, and he's like, hey, I got my ID, my ticket. He's already gone through, the pat-down thing where they wanted his wallet. So they opened up his wallet, they went through, they're searching his IDs and so on, and he goes by DT, and his name's David, with an A. And he goes by DT, so some of his credit cards don't have the exact same name, the same way, on his driver's license and other stuff. I mean, you could tell it's the same guy and so on, but, they go, well, we're not going to let you through. And it was 20 minutes that they kept him there. And finally, a Phoenix police officer came over, he goes, I'll take care of this. He took all his stuff, walked around the corner with him, just handed him back his stuff and said, be on your way.
See what I'm saying? There are some good officers out there, just like that.
You know, and I'm hoping that these guys, you know, they from the, you know, our meetings and the training, knowing this stuff is coming up and this is exactly the kind of crap that's going to be going on, that they're just like being proactive and saying, look, we're just going to take care of it.
Ernie, it comes back to where we started. How much are the American people willing to put up with? That's the question. We don't know yet. If you had asked me 20 years ago, would they be willing to put up with what we got today? I would have told you, heck no. But there again, they are. How much will they be willing to put? I don't know. Now we have national health care insurance coming in. Are they going to put up with that? I guess so. What is it that they won't put up with? We have a never-ending war going on in Iraq and Afghanistan and spending out of control. How much will they? Is there ever going to come a day where the American people say, no, we've had enough?
Well, these scanners do not go inside your body. I mean, if you're holding, you know, you're doing the prophylactic with the drugs or the plastique or whatever in your rectum or your vagina or something.
What's next? Maybe they'll say that this is important for security. Everybody's going to get an anal cavity search as you're going to go through the plane. If you don't like it, don't fly.
You know, and my thing is, you know, I always have fun with this. I go, I go get my anal probe at the airport and everything. Well, it was a joke.
It may be coming.
It was a joke. So, you know, this is, what are the kind of cases that people are coming to you? They're just mad?
Yeah, so far that's all I've got. And I may still do something with that because I hate to let them pass by, you know. So
yeah, pick a good one, man.
Yeah, I'm going to look for a good one, a good sympathetic one. So, you know, I'm interested in, and maybe, you know, maybe putting my card in these things that you guys are passing out tomorrow. I'm looking for a good, sympathetic, kind of a plaintiff who doesn't have, you know, the perfect person who doesn't have anything on their record, wasn't doing anything wrong, and got something that people would be outraged about.
You know, what I did is I didn't put anything in there that had Freedom's Phoenix on there.
Why not?
Because I didn't want it to be a commercial kind of thing, you know. But then when we decided to put that dosimeter company on there, you know, okay, well, you can do them or anybody else, do a Google search on whatever. I go, all right, well, you know, okay, so that's like a service, you know. And then Mark comes by and got his cards, and I'm going, okay, we'll put that in there because it has a, you know, I don't consent to any searching stuff on there. If something happens, you know, they may, you know, kind of, yeah, we'll give Mark a call.
Yeah, I mean, we're
so
fighting.
I'm like, all right, fine, maybe we'll put something on there. What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, we're fighting this fight on so many fronts, Ernie. I mean, you know, we haven't even talked about them. There's the checkpoint fights, right? I get calls all the time. People coming through checkpoints. Yeah,
you're the attorney for Pastor Steven Anderson.
And also Terry Bressie before that.
Yeah, so you had a lot of skills going into the Anderson thing. You'd already started the case that started in December of 2002. You know, we've been doing this a long time.
We won both of those cases.
Yep.
Both of those guys got off completely scot-free. And now Pastor Anderson, we're going to federal court because I've started up my civil rights practice, which, by the way, is, you know, you get tired of doing the same old thing after so many years. So this is a new frontier for me, hauling the government off to court and being the plaintiff in a case against the government. I love it.
What took you so long?
Well, I haven't had the manpower. You know, I've tried to expand my firm recently, and I've very carefully hired some attorneys. It's taken a long time. I'm not a big fan of lawyers, and so I've had to hire and fire lots of lawyers to get people who I think are appropriately aggressive with the government. And even the ones I've had to say, look, you know, we take these kinds of cases, we fight these fights. And, you know, lawyers are generally trained only to take things that potentially yield lots of money at the end. And yeah, that's a good thing. And I'm a capitalist and I'm in favor of that. But there are some cases that cross my path that we just have to take. And we have to push aggressively, even though we know it's not going to be a big payday at the end.
Well, what do you mean? You know, your kind of paydays are you looking for? Just, you know, satisfaction? Is there big money in this, or is it just
there's not big money
of your future?
Well, I mean, Ernie, it's the same as if we get a case that comes out of this TSA thing. We get somebody who went a little bit too far, they humiliated somebody, but there's not really any damages. You know, that's a case that I might take, and we're not likely to get much of or anything at the end of that. But it's a case we might take just to see where it goes.
Or do you think it might go?
I don't know. I push them as far as they can go, and we see where they go. But, you know, we've been pretty successful. And, you know, who would have thought that we would have won the Terry Bressie case? Who would have thought we'd have won the Pastor Anderson case? Who would have thought we'd have won the Shelton case? Who would have thought we'd have won that case where the guy with the public intoxication taking a cab home after drinking, you know? I mean, so a lot of these cases, none of them you would have thought we would have got a good result, and we got a good result on every one of them.
You know, it's Mark J. Victor and Ernest Hancock. You know, I'd like to say that it's fun. I mean, it's satisfying. It's not the same as fun. There's a lot of other things that we'd rather be doing. But we do these things because no one else does. And certainly not with the skills that Mark Victor brings to the table and all of us here at Freedom's Phoenix. You know, you do some injustice and here we are. Dispensing of justice. We should be our own superhero.
There you go.
We're going to get it. We're going to get little dolls. You know, Freedom's Phoenix guy. Yeah, I feel it. I can feel it. We're going to have a Freedom's Phoenix something. Or Mark J. Victor face on it. Well, you think about it. We'll be back tomorrow on Declare Your Independence talking about the TSA in the field.